You are watching Start That Business Show with our business coach, Evelyn.
I'm excited to have you yet again in today's episode of Start That Business Show. My name is Evelyn, a business coach and your host for the show. In today's show, we are going to be looking at the meat industry in Kenya and how you can start a profitable business selling meat in Kenya. And today we will be looking at butcheries, the different butcheries that are run in Kenya and what makes one butchery profitable as opposed to the next. But before we go into that, I would like to share with you some interesting statistics about meat consumption in Kenya. The yearly meat consumption in Kenya is about 640,000 metric tons per year. And a research by the Kenya Market Trust shows that every year there is still a deficit of up to 300,000 metric tons of meat in the country. So that just presents an opportunity that you may want to take advantage of as a business person. And in opening a butchery, it would be important for you to understand why customers make the buying decisions that they make. This will help you understand why, for example, you would buy meat from one butchery as opposed to the next, even though they may be closely spaced and the prices might even be the same. Understanding consumption trends is very important because it will help you in making your decisions on location and even the type of customers that you may want to target. But different customers will buy meat based on many things. And to help me explain this point, I'm going to divide customers, meat buyers, into three different categories that you may want to target. And before you start a butchery, it is important upfront for you to be very clear on the type of a customer you are targeting. So the first customer that you may want to target is a high-end meat buyer. A second customer that you may want to target is a low-income earner, a low-income meat buyer. And a third category of customer that you may want to target is a middle-income meat buyer. You may probably be wondering why I'm going through all this. The reason I'm going through this is that these buyers make their buying decisions based on many things. I will look at the different buyer categories one by one and explain them to you the marketing mix that you need to adopt for you to be able to tap the customer that you are targeting. First of all, before you open your butchery, it is important for you to do thorough research to understand the type of customer that you may want to target. So in the case that you are looking to target the high-income meat buyer, understanding the buying behavior of this customer is going to help you to stock the type of meat that this customer is looking for. In most cases, this buyer will not come to your butchery many times, but they will come once in a while and buy in bulk. Another important thing about this customer is that they value quality, they would like a wide variety of choice, and they may not mind much the price of the meat that you sell. So if this is the type of customer that you set to target, then make sure that you always stock quality, fresh meat in your butchery. And prices of meat in the country range between 400 shillings per kilogram to 1,000 shillings per kilogram, depending on the location of your butchery. So if you're targeting a high-income meat buyer, you can be free to price your meat anything between 600 shillings to 1,000 shillings, but make sure that you are stocking quality and make sure that you have large amounts of meat so that if you have one or two or more of these customers, you are able to have the quantities that they are looking for. But you may be wondering where the profits will be coming from if you're targeting the high-income meat buyer. But the trick is this: the high prices and the large volumes will eventually add up and you will still be able to make your profits if this is the type of a customer you are targeting. But be important to stock quality, be convenient where you can easily be accessed either by foot or either by car or on foot by people who are walking on foot, and have the quantities they are looking for. Offer a wide variety and different types of meat, which may be red meat or white meat, and even the red meat can be different cuts. You can have those on bone and those without bone, so that you are able to comfortably serve this client. I'm moving on to explain the number two type of customer that you may be targeting. And in the case that you are targeting this unique meat buyer who is a low-income customer, it is important for you to understand the dynamics of this customer so that you may comfortably serve this type of a customer. But remember that whichever customer niche that you choose to target, all of them will be profitable. The only difference will lie on your marketing mix, how you are going to play around with your prices, how you are going to play around with the quality and even the location and even the type of equipment that you are going to have. So I'm moving on to explain customer number 2, who is the low-income meat buyer. Most of them can be found in residential areas that have high human population, and that probably is the catch. The most important thing to know about this customer is that they may not be buying in bulk, because most of them do not have sufficient storage in the places where they stay, but they will buy the quantities they need at the time they need them and come again and again whenever they are able to buy. Another unique thing about this customer is that they value affordability. So they are only going to buy from you meat that they are able to afford at any given time. So price your meat in a way that you are going to be accessible to this type of a client. And some of them might even not come to ask for meat in terms of quantity, but they will come and tell you that, for example, they want meat that is worth 100 shillings. So again, it is upon you to work your measurement so that you are able to still serve this client while making the profit that you're looking for. So where will your profits come from if you're targeting the low-income meat buyer? So the first way in which you are going to realize your profits is because there is a lot of high human traffic in your butchery, because you will have many customers walking in, and even though they may be buying less quantities, the numbers will eventually add up and you will still be able to make your profit. In terms of prices, try to charge prices of anything between 300 shillings to 400 shillings so that you can be affordable and so that you can attract customers and retain them. And that takes us to the next point, which is the source of the meat that you will be selling to your clients. Most butcheries across the country source for meat from different slaughterhouses, which are located in different places in different towns. In Nairobi, they are in different places, and it is important for you to find out which one would be convenient for you and which one you would have a workable arrangement with. But even at the butcheries, interestingly, the prices also vary depending on where they source the animals that they slaughter from. So if your target is the low-income meat buyer, work backwards and find out a supplier who sources their meat from places where they can easily give you meat, where they can easily sell to you meat at the prices that will comfortably make you be able to sell at fair prices to your customers. The price of meat at the slaughterhouse ranges between 250 shillings to 350 shillings, again depending on the slaughterhouse that you choose, depending on the arrangement that you have with the slaughterhouse, and even on the quantities of meat that you buy. So there you have it. If you're targeting the low-income meat earner, be sure to have divisible quantities, price fairly, talk to your customers well like you would with all other customers, and make sure that you have enough meat, because you are going to receive a lot of flow of customers and your profits are going to come from the repeatability of sales. The third category of a meat buyer that I'm coming to is the middle-income meat buyer. If we go by the price ranges of anything between 400,000 to 1,000 shillings, you could consider pricing a kilogram of meat at anything between 400 shillings to 600 shillings to this customer, again depending on where your butchery is located. But be sure to have quality. Be sure to display your meat in a way that whoever is walking outside can be able to tell whether you have the type of meat they are looking for. But again, make sure that you are conveniently located so that it is easier to get you. Make sure that your meat is fresh, and with this you will have to establish a way of getting at least a fresh supply every morning, and try to estimate quantities in a way that by evening you sell out the day's stock so that the following day's stock is fresh enough for your clients. And the marketing strategy that will work for you with this type of a client is striking a balance between the quantities and the freshness, because you are not going to receive many clients and you will not receive few clients either. They'll just be enough, and your repeat sales are going to enable you to make a profit. But after understanding that, it is also important to find out whether a butchery business is profitable at all in Kenya. Most slaughterhouses sell a kilogram of meat at 250 shillings to 350 shillings. And most butcheries in Kenya sell anything between 50 kilograms of meat per day to 300 kilograms of meat per day, depending on the number of years that you have operated and therefore the growth that you have achieved, the location of your butchery, and the sales, how much you are able to make sales in any given day. So I'm looking at an example of a butchery that is set up in a middle income estate, where maybe the price of meat is 400 shillings per kilogram. So if you buy a kilogram of meat at 300 shillings and sell a kilogram at 400 shillings, then your profit margin per kilogram becomes 100 shillings. So take an example where you sell maybe 200 kilograms of meat per day. Then your revenue for that day will be 20,000 shillings. But what are the costs? The costs in any butchery are salaries or wages. We have overheads, which is water and electricity, and we have rent. I'm going to the first cost, which is salaries or wages. Most butcheries pay their workers on a wage basis. That is, they pay their salaries, or they pay their employees on a day-to-day basis. So you might want to hire an assistant to help you out with cutting meat. And these people who cut meat are paid an average of 350 shillings per day. You might also consider having a cleaner, and most butcheries around pay their cleaners 500 shillings per day. And if you also choose to sell cooked meat in your butchery, you may also want to employ a cook, and most cooks are paid 750 shillings per day. So that sums it up for your costs in as far as paying your employees is concerned. We move to the next thing, which is water bills. Water and electricity bills combined can come to 5,000 shillings. We are looking at rent. Rent for a butchery that is set up in such a location can be anything between 15,000 to 20,000 shillings. So assuming that your rent is 20,000 shillings, then for you to be able to arrive at your daily cost, then you will basically divide the 20,000 by the 30 days so that you find the amount of money that you need to put aside to be able to build up your rent for the month. So if your rent is 20,000 shillings, then the daily proportion to rent will be anything like 650 shillings. After all these costs have been taken care of, giving the scenario of a butchery that I have given, you are going to make profits of 12,000 shillings. So assuming that you work 24 days in a month, your profits for the month would be 230,000 shillings, using the example that I have given. Again, this can be high or low depending on how much sales you make, which can be higher or lower than the one I have given, but that was just to help you understand the profitability in a butchery business. And remember that whichever customer niche that you choose to work with, all of them can be profitable, but all that will matter is the marketing strategy that you adopt. That is basically the location where you're operating from, the prices that you set, and how you talk to your clients, how you attract your customers, and how you maintain them. After considering the profitability, I know that the next thing that probably we are all thinking about, maybe you are considering opening then a butchery business. So that then brings us to the next question. How then do we open a butchery business in Kenya? What are the requirements? What type of a location are we looking for? So this is coming in part 2 of this video. So watch out for all the licenses and paperwork needed, all the requirements, all the considerations, and the equipment that you need for you to be able to start and run a successful business in Kenya. I will be delighted to give you all this information, which is coming in part 2 of this video, so don't miss out. But if you want to engage with us, or if you want to ask a question that will feed into part 2, feel free to engage with us on the buttons below. You may subscribe or engage with us on any of our social media pages, or you may subscribe so that you can get notified whenever we upload new content which is coming your way. It was my pleasure hosting you, and I look forward to hosting you yet again in our next episode. Until then, it's bye.